I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. Travis Decker unalived his three daughters when CPS shouldn't have never allowed the visit. Before we get started, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Salute to the chat. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to my moderators. We have another case where CPS is involved. Now, in this case, CPS allowed the father of these three children, they allowed that father to have unsupervised visitation rights. All right. Now, many want to know why. When Travis Decker has known mental illnesses, why wasn't his visitation with the children, why wasn't it supervised? You all let me know how y'all feel about this. Let's take a deeper dive into this case. Salute, Kotan.
It's another night on the run for the prime suspect, and so far as we know, the only suspect in the murder of those three young sisters in Washington State. If you've been following our coverage, you know that Travis Decker picked up his daughters last Friday for a scheduled custodial visit, but the bodies of those three little girls, his three little girls, were found on Monday near a campground 40 miles away. Court documents say 9-year-old Peyton Decker, 8-year-old Evelyn Decker, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker had each been asphyxiated with plastic bags that were still over their heads when they were found. Their wrists had been zip-tied. Their father's truck, which was found nearby, had 2 bloody handprints on it. And last night on this show, the sheriff leading the manhunt confirmed that those were adult handprints. Today, police put out a photo of Travis Decker from when he was active duty in the military. Reports indicate he was a U.S. Army Ranger, a paratrooper who served in Afghanistan and is highly trained in wilderness evasion and survival. The Army picture shows how different he might look now if he maybe were shaved. Certainly shows the tattoos that you can look for if you're out looking to spot him.
Now, many, and we'll cover that in this demonstration when we get to it, many believe that something had to go wrong. Many people felt as though, or many people feel like nice guy, had a career, had the world, in his hands. Something had to happen to make him snap and do this to his children. This wasn't him. He's not that type of guy. I'll tell you all what happened. He decided to go out the cowardly way by taking the lives of these 3 little innocent girls, because I don't care what you and I are going through, that doesn't give you and I the right to take anybody's life. Let's put that in its proper perspective. Now, it's one thing if he turned to drinking. It's one thing if he may have turned to drugs. It's one thing if he would have just abandoned himself from being in these little girls' lives. All of the above, I can understand. It's hard out here. But we can never use an excuse of what a person is going through and use that as an excuse for them to take the life of anyone. He decided that he was going to take his 3 daughters' lives. Nothing more, nothing less. We have to stop making excuses for these kind of acts. If he was that depressed, or if life had gotten him that down, instead of him taking the lives of these 3 precious little girls, why not take his own funky ass life? See, we've been playing with folks for a long time now, y'all. We've been playing with folks for a long time. We keep making excuses for people. We got to stop making excuses for these funky ass people. CPS don't care. They are racist and receive immunity, whether they're right or wrong. It's a business. Adoption day is a payday. Foster parents get paid for your kids. Lexi says, "Fact, Shank, so sad, poor baby." I mean, these babies, these are babies. So we're gonna make an excuse, and we want to know. We want to know, well, what happened to him? What do you mean? What happened to him? I'll say it again. His funky ass decided to take the cowardly way out. Nothing more, nothing less. I see you, Alma. Salute, Lil. He should have just sent them back to the mama. Facts. That's all he had to do. Hey, look, I'm not in no predicament. I'm not in no condition to be taking care of these babies. I love you, so you'll have to go with your mom. Nothing more, nothing less. Salute, Niche. Salute, Niche. But you'll hear later on, they're going to ask. They're going to ask what happened to him. Salute, I see through you. Quita, KMC, salute. It's no excuse. Man, woman, regardless of race, religion, rich or poor, it's no excuse to take anyone's life, let alone your 3 daughters. Salute, Marty. Hope you're feeling well, Marty. But let's get back.
Deckard is said to be suffering from complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder. He was married to the little girl's mother, Whitney Deckard, for 7 years, and their divorce reportedly was civil. Whitney never fought visitation privileges, but when Travis lost his home and various minimum wage jobs after he left the girls crying unattended at a National Guard armory, he was barred from taking them on overnights. Despite all of that, Whitney says Travis isn't the only one responsible for their daughter's deaths. She says, quote, "The system deserves some of the blame too, because police sent out an endangered missing persons advisory instead of an Amber Alert." Whitney Deckard's attorney says, and I quote, "We may never know if it could have meant the difference between life and death for those girls, but it could have made a huge difference." Whitney believes, as I do, that something broke inside of him. Everything that he had been living with, everything that had been bottled.
Now, let me stop this right here, y'all. Let me stop this. Now, this is coming from the child's mother. And this is from the attorney of the mother. We may never know if it could have meant the difference between life and death for those girls, but it could have made a huge difference. Whitney, this is their mom. Whitney believes, as I do, that something broke inside of him. Everything that he had been living with, everything that had been bottled up inside of him for so long, as far as trauma, just won out. Let me ask everybody this right now, and I'm sure everybody that has a child, everybody that raised a child, I'm sure that we all can agree on this. How many days and nights we wanted to throw in the towel and give up? But did we? Did we? And even for those that walked out of their children's lives, I respect them. I respect a man or a woman that walks out of their child's life because of circumstances like this. I can respect that. And that's what he should have done. That's what he should have done. He should have just walked out of those babies' lives. I'll take that over taking these babies' lives from them. Man, we all lose jobs. You know how many jobs I lost? Do you know how many jobs you and him and her lost? We all lost jobs. Come on now. I can't excuse this. I can't excuse this. I'll never excuse this. Before you harm your children, before you physically harm your children, before you take the lives of your children, walk out of their lives. If you're not mentally able, if you don't have it all there, I understand. If you don't have it all there, walk out of your family's life. Walk out of your child's life. I get it. I get it. Do not take the cowardly way out by taking your children's lives. Give your children a chance to live their life. Walk out of their life. I ain't buying this at all, y'all. I'm not buying this. But this is the mother of those children. Something broke inside of him. He took the cowardly way out.
Bottled up inside of him for so long, as far as trauma, just one out, end quote. I want to bring in Bobby Chacon. He is a retired FBI special agent with extensive background in high-risk search and arrests. He was part of the manhunt for the Olympic Park bomber, Eric Rudolph, in the mountains of North Carolina. Boy, that went on forever as well. We thought we'd never find him, and he had some survival skills too, Bobby. First, let me ask you, what are the odds this guy's alive, especially given the heinous and atrocious act that happened to his daughters?
Well, I think the odds are pretty good that he's alive for the time being. I don't know how long that will last. He's probably, I'm certainly not an expert in his mental health conditions, but he's probably still on some kind of a rush of what happened. If he does come in a moment of clarity, he might take his own life, or he might decide to try to do it as a suicide by cop or something like that. But my thoughts are he's probably still out there. It all depends on how much planning he put into this. And I'm sure that the investigation is focused on part of that, is focused on part of it is how much planning he put into this.
Well, I think of having enough baggies for 3 little girls' heads and zip ties and something obviously to secure the baggies around their heads. And that sounds like planning to me. We don't just all drive around with that kind of material in our truck, especially if we're homeless.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part of it is, did he have time to go out and stash food resources like Rudolph did in our search? His father had said he had been in those mountains at times off the grid for months at a time. So did he plan on being there this time and putting food away and things like that? So that's going to be part of it. I think the biggest advantage he had right now is a head start. He was due to have those children back to the mother at, I think, 8 o'clock on Friday night. And by 9, she notified the authorities. But they didn't put out an alert until, the next day. For some reason, he did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert.
I'm going to have to backtrack this, y'all. Let me backtrack on this. Appreciate that super sticker, Lil Braden. Salute D. Gon say it. Salute Lori. Let's backtrack this, y'all. So they didn't put out an Amber Alert. Let me backtrack, y'all. Let me backtrack.
I think the biggest advantage he had right now is a head start. He was due to have those children back to the mother at, I think, 8 o'clock on Friday night. And by 9, she notified the authorities. But they didn't put out an alert until, the next day. For some reason, he did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert, according to the state police. The local police did want to put out that Amber Alert, I think. And the state police who control those boards on the highways said he didn't meet the criteria. And so they were a little delayed in putting out that Amber Alert, and we now know that his license plate was seen on a highway plate reader leaving town at some point on Saturday, I believe. So we don't know what happened between, Friday when he was supposed to bring those girls home and really Monday when those girls' bodies were found midday.
Bobby, do you think being homeless is an advantage here or a disadvantage? Because on one hand, he's homeless. He doesn't have a whole lot of money to get the supplies that you're talking about to stash in the woods and be prepared for 3 months off the grid. But being homeless certainly does let us know that he knows how to live rough.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it does.
And I'm glad she said that because he knows how to rough it. He been living off the land. He's been living off the land, so he knows all about roughing it. Now, he was supposed to return the babies back at 8 o'clock that Friday evening. But when he didn't show or call by 9, the mom called 911. They wait until the next day to put out a missing persons report. They could have put out an Amber Alert. What is going on? Good question, Simply Me. How he gets visitation if he's homeless. Good point, Simply Me. It's John Tay Shank. My son changed my name to his. He does too much. Well, you tell your son that Shank Rock said. No, I ain't going to call him a funky you know what. All right, John Tay, I got you. I got you, John Tay. But Simply Me hit it on the nose. How he gets visitation if he's homeless. What's good? What's really good with CPS? What's good with the system? See how they pick and choose? What's the difference here? I'll let you all tell me what you all see the difference in this case and other cases. The world is effed up right now. Tanya said, salute, Tanya. I've been keeping up with this since okay, appreciate you, Tanya J. Find out some more information if you can. If you can, Tanya J. Lord, that's why I said I let me not call him that, because he's only 10 years old. I don't want to be calling no kids, no funky, you know what. So, all right, it's okay. It's okay. But what's the difference in this? Y'all tell me. And this is why I said, and I'll say it again. This is why I said not only black children, not only black families are done wrong by CPS, all nationalities, all races of children are done wrong by CPS. All races are done wrong by CPS.
It is an advantage, I think, in this particular case, because people are if he's very used to living in an uncomfortable environment. For us, it would be uncomfortable, but for him, it's not. And they're also used to scavenging for food and in ways of getting a hold of things to eat. Homeless people are adept at that. That's how they stay alive oftentimes. And so I think in this particular case, at least in the short term, it's an advantage for him.
And if CPS, Marty says, I wonder if CPS knew he was homeless. And if CPS did know that this man was homeless, they got a lot of explaining to do. They got a lot of explaining to do if CPS knew he was homeless. Salute, Alicia.
What do you think police are doing right now?
I think they're doing a couple of things, many things at one time. I think they're interviewing family, friends, people that he may have sought assistance from. They're doing the obvious, which is like land searches. Sometimes the only thing you can do is get feet on the ground, boots on the ground in those mountains, which are.
So here's a description of the suspect. If anyone is in the area, or if anyone, because he may not even be in that area, but there's a description of him. The advantage that he does have is he's a military veteran and he's possibly armed. Please do not try to approach him. Contact 911. A voice of reason says visitation should not be denied due to homeless solely. That could break an already broke person. How many of y'all feel like a voice of reason feel? I'm going to disagree with you, a voice of reason, but that's a good point. Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if you agree with a voice of reason. Drop a 2 if you disagree. Visitation is not denied due to being homeless, but it should be supervised. I agree with that, Taj. I agree with that, Taj. And also, it's documented that he had mental issues as well. So they have to do a home inspection before you can have more visits, and especially overnight visits. They dropped the ball. I agree with you, Aisha. I agree with you. CPS dropped the ball. Yeah, I feel it should be supervised too. Mariah and Karaya Bless dropped the 2. Sunshine dropped the 1. Karen says right. John Tay says, I agree with Taj. Tanya say facts. I agree with supervision.
Rugged. Some places you can't even use drones because the forest canopy is so thick that the drones can't even look through the forest canopy. So if you pick those kind of areas that Rudolph did way back when, you can't even use the technology that sometimes you can deploy. So really boots on the ground, doing grid searches, starting from where he was, where the kids' bodies were found. Conceivably, he didn't have a vehicle after that. They found his vehicle. So he's on foot from that point. So you calculate how many miles a day he might be able to travel, and then you draw a map and you draw concentric circles, and you put teams, if you can, you try to put as many resources, and this is a very labor-intensive effort. So while some teams are looking at his background, his family connections, his friends connections, other people are just on the ground searching those woods.
Well, Bobby, let's hope at some point they catch this guy. Because
it's sad. It's sad. Can I get everybody to throw up some prayer hands for these 3 little girls? Can I get everybody to throw up some prayer hands? It's sad that these babies are not being protected. It should be supervised. First of all, why was there an open CPS case to begin with? And give me a minute, Aisha. Give me a minute. I'll come back. Supervision, yes, but he's also mentally challenged, so it's hard to say. I meant John Tay. That's John Tay.
because I think that mom and the rest of us deserve justice. Thanks so much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Let me go to something. Let me go to another clip, y'all.
An urgent man.
So there is an urgent manhunt for Travis Decker. There is a manhunt going on.
Manhunt is underway for a father accused in the horrific murders of his 3 young daughters. New Ring camera video from the Chelan County Sheriff's Office showing Travis Decker from the days leading up to his visitation with the girls. We also have new images as authorities continue to search for him. Decker, who once served in the military, is highly trained and is believed to be dangerous. I'm your host, Kennedy Walker, and I'll walk you through the details. You're watching Law and Crime. Today, federal and local authorities in Washington are searching the wilderness for Travis Decker, who they say killed his 3 daughters, 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia during a court-approved visitation. New images and ring camera video showing Decker in the days leading up to his visitation, revealing his last known appearance. Decker, according to authorities, is former military and is capable of spending weeks in the wilderness alone. In a press release, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office said new information has revealed Mr. Decker is well versed in wilderness survival and capable of spending days or even weeks in the wilderness on his own with very little equipment. Although this can be a challenge while searching for him, our personnel are well equipped to seek and apprehend him.
When talking with his father, it sounds at times that he would go out and would be living off grid for sometimes up to 2.5 months. So we also understand too that he at times would do caching. So we understand that that's a possibility that he could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive for a long period of time. We saw this before a couple years ago when we assisted Kittitas County with a similar case. So we are putting our resources out. We saw our SWAT team today out off the ice school drainage, checking residences through there, in addition to us still having units out on the ground, continuing to check, in addition to expanding out and looking at local counties. So we're going to continue to do what we need to do, partnering with our federal partners. We will again want to say thank you to the FBI, Homeland Security that has assisted us more yesterday. Also going with the Marshal Services, the Washington State Patrol that has been working alongside of us, along with their detective units. And we've also had a forensics electronic detective going through the cell phone and other electronic items that we've collected on the scene. So we're hoping to gather more information, take that intel that we've gathered today, and continue to press on tomorrow.
On Friday.
Let me read Taj's comment. Taj says if it was documented that he had mental illness, that's even more for the visit to be supervised. The system failed to pay attention to this man's mental health and failed these little girls. Exactly.
Their mother, Whitney, reported the girls missing after they didn't return from a planned visitation with Decker, who reportedly was not authorized to have overnight visits with the girls and was experiencing mental health issues. But authorities say there had been no prior issues between the ex-couple.
There were reported concerns of Travis being homeless and financially stressed recently. Whitney was clear that during the exchanges that had occurred in the past, that Travis was very communicative with her in any deviations from the parenting plan.
On Monday, June 2nd, a deputy found Decker's white GMC Sierra pickup with 2 bloody handprints on the back near the Rock Island campground. The girls' bodies were found close by. Investigators say zip ties and plastic bags were scattered throughout the area, and it appears the girls had been suffocated. A motive is unknown.
And I don't think there'd be any motive to be acceptable. I mean, clearly, it's not the decision of a sound mind, and these young girls were a victim.
Court documents obtained by Law and Crime reveal Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was supposed to get mental health treatment and anger management.
So there it is right there. This is court records, right? All right, John Tate, glad you're back. There it is right there. He was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that she believes he currently does not take medication for. So he was supposed to have got help. So why was this dad, why did this dad have unsupervised visitation with his children? I'll let you all answer that. It's documented.
And these young girls were a victim.
Court documents obtained by Law and Crime reveal Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was supposed to get mental health treatment and anger management, but had not. All 3 girls attended Lincoln Elementary School in Wenatchee, the community coming out to pay their respects. Classmates writing messages trying to process the unthinkable. An online fundraiser has already collected more than $800,000 for the victim's mother, who overnight lost all 3 of her children. The organizer writing, "These girls were true light in this world, and it is a darker place without them." Authorities continuing to urge Decker to turn himself in.
Looking for reliable car insurance that doesn't break the bank? With us, you get comprehensive coverage starting at
Travis, if you're out there seeing us, we'd like you to turn yourself in. We want a peaceful resolution to this, but we're not going to relinquish our efforts and giving up any effort that we can proceed to track you down. So please turn yourself in. Let's wrap this up and do what's right for your kids.
A warrant has been issued for Decker's arrest, charging him with 3 counts of kidnapping and first-degree murder.
If you are putting together a timeline as a prosecutor, he's the last person that's documented having been with them. They're found near the truck. I think his cell phone is found near that campsite or where that truck was, and then leaving that area. So it puts him, it's evidence that puts him on that scene where the girls were found. It's a crucial piece of evidence in this case.
Look, I know I say this all the time, but truly covering these stories day in and day out, you realize things are a bit crazy out there. That's why I am so excited to tell you about a product we, yes, we here at Law and Crime created. You can use in case of a crime given the evidence.
When I was a prosecutor, I oftentimes thought that circumstantial evidence is better than witness testimony, because circumstantial evidence doesn't lie. And you put together things like DNA.
And that's a good question. And I'm going to let the chat chop it up. All right. Salute Candy. Salute April. CPS needs to be dismantled and reassembled. All right. I think that's a good question of Voice of Reason. Voice of Reason says no disrespect, but how is this different from the young lady discussed earlier? She was thought to have mental illness also. Anyone care to answer a Voice of Reason's question? Because remember, Shaniqua Arnold, mental illness. That was part, not all, but that was part of the reason why her child was taken from her. So if this mom that we spoke on earlier today suffered from mental illness, had mental illness, and her child was taken, why was this dad who suffered from mental illness, why was this dad given unsupervised visitation? I lost my grandfather to the military. My condolences, Gigi. Simply Me says skin color. The difference I see is he was white military and she was a black woman alone. A lot of people going through things, and all is not mental illness, even if it looks like it. Strange times we live in there. Another point that I agree with, you know, we're all going through things. What determines, Pee-wee, if you're out there, Pee-wee, I know Nikki Lynn, she's tied up, so I doubt if Nikki Lynn will be able to join me on the panel. But Pee-wee, if you're not busy, pull up. And matter of fact, anyone that would like to discuss with me mental illness, please hit that link and join me on the panel. Because I think this is a good demonstration for us to talk about mental illness. Like, what determines whether or not you suffer from mental illness?
And I imagine that when they conduct the autopsies in this case, they will swab the areas on the bodies of these children that were possibly where they were strangled and make DNA comparisons. That's the kind of circumstantial evidence. Well, I'd argue that's direct evidence, but that's the kind of direct evidence that they will couple with circumstantial evidence to try and make a case against Mr. Decker here.
And once again, for me, y'all, I'll never be able to excuse anyone that harms a child. I don't care what you're going through. You should never take the life of a child. You should never mistreat a child. Don't care what you're going through. We already saw that.
So I'm Amy Edwards, and this is Mark Bell.
All right. Even when they ain't yours. Mental illness to me is the term that the government uses when they feel that you're unstable to be a parent. And in most situations, that's not even true. The parents are wonderful. I agree, April. I agree. I feel the devil is hard at work. Just my opinion. Mental illness is very real these days. Good point. Good point. This some crazy work, what people doing to their children is very sad. Exactly. Let's take a listen, y'all.
And we are both friends of Whitney Decker and the Decker family.
To our community, the Wenatchee Valley, thank you. The outpouring of love, generosity, and support has been overwhelming, not only here in the Wenatchee Valley, but from the communities around the world. We are deeply moved and profoundly grateful. Seeing everyone come together and unite in support of this family has been humbling and reminds us of what makes the Wenatchee Valley so special. That compassion has been a source of light in this dark hour.
This valley helped nurture the creativity, confidence, and joy that Peyton and Evelyn and Olivia shined so brightly. Whether it was performing on stage with Short Shakespeareans and Music Theater of Wenatchee, dancing with the Fabulous Feet Dance Studio, playing sports, or walking the halls of Lincoln Elementary, their laughter, curiosity, and spirit left a mark on all of us. They were the kind of children that everyone rooted for, looked forward to seeing, and held close in their hearts. They are cherished, not just by the family, but by our entire community who watched them grow, perform, learn, and love. We ache with the love we still carry for them, and we always will.
Whitney is living every parent's worst nightmare. The hole in her heart is immeasurable. There are no words that can capture the weight of this loss. Right now, she's surrounded by friends, family, and neighbors doing everything they can to hold her up.
To the media, we ask for grace at this time. Whitney is grieving the unimaginable. Should she not have to do so under a spotlight? Please allow her the space and privacy and compassion that she deserves. Your restraint is a true act of humanity, and we appreciate it. We are focused on fully cooperating with investigators so that Travis Decker is found, apprehended, and brought to justice. This case is ongoing, and all legal updates will come from law enforcement.
The generosity we've seen from right here in the Wenatchee Valley and nationwide has not only brought comfort during this heartbreaking time, it also sparked some important conversations. We're talking about how we raise awareness and advocate for improvements to the Amber Alert system, and how we address and expand access to mental health resources for veterans, especially in the context of family and custody cases.
And I'm glad and I appreciate that support that they're getting. But once again, now he's speaking on the mental illness and, the help. Once again, this, in my opinion, and I'll have to have someone to really, really shake me upside down. This isn't a case of mental illness. It's not. Because as I spoke on mental illness several times, you still know right from wrong. And we can't use mental illness. We can't let any of these issues or medical terms that we're diagnostic or diagnosed with, we can't allow people to use them to get away with it. You broke the law. You broke the law. This is a major problem that we face in this country. We are always able to find excuses. You don't take the life of your child. Period. What about those that get high? What about those that use drugs that don't or haven't taken the life of their child? I mean, they would have a good argument, but there are many of dope fiends and crackheads out here that know not to take their child's life. What about the alcoholics? There are many alcoholics out here. I mean, come on. What about those who were abused? What about all of the men and women that were abused as children? They still know not to take their child's life. What about the millions? I'm going to say millions because I know it's a lot of women. What about all those women that get beaten and abused by their husbands and their boyfriends? They don't take the lives of their children. This is a big problem. It's a big problem because instead of us focusing in on the punishment, we focus in on why they do it. We focus in on, well, it's a strong possibility that something got into them to make them to do that. Well, I got news for everybody that have children that thinks that it's okay because they're having hard times. I got news for all of y'all that think because you have children and you suffer from some kind of mental disorderly. I got news for y'all. Stop having babies. It's no difference from this man. He's not even using mental illness. But it's no difference from this man taking the lives of his children because he's going through things than the thousands and thousands of mothers that take the life of their children because they're going through things. I can't sit back and watch nobody try to dress this crime up. I just can't allow, I'm not going to sit back and watch nobody try to cover for this coward. He's a coward. He's a coward. Make no mistakes about it. And I don't give a damn what military background he has. None of that comes into play when you take the lives of these children. I mean, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? These babies that didn't get a chance to live out their lives. These babies' lives have been taken from them, and they want to justify. They want to put mental illness on it. Nah, bro. Nah. We ain't putting no mental illness on this one. Come on, Shank Rock, speak on it. I have a little head on my shoulder, but I could never, no matter what I'm going through, ever hurt a baby. That's facts. That's facts. Come on, y'all. Jonte, nah, Shank, I would not harm my children. I don't know if I was mentally ill or not. There's no excuse for this behavior. That's facts. Yes, that's true, Shank Rock. I have a brother that suffers with schizophrenic. He was a Navy SEAL. He would go off at times, and I would have to hide my children in closets. And I'm glad that you did. I see through you. I'm glad that you did. But as a nation, we have to focus in on right and wrong. Nothing in between. Right and wrong. Look, it's wrong for you to do this. Yeah. I know, but it's wrong for you to do that. Yeah. But let me tell you my story. I don't give a damn about your story. I don't give a damn about what you came from. We all got a story. We all then came through some things. It's about right and wrong. The term of mental illness is used nowadays too loosely. they are so many levels associated with a person mental decline. No justification for unaliving a baby or kids. That's facts. I mean, these babies we talking about. Now, not unless we on something else, but these babies. You looking at these 3 babies, you could see the innocence. You know how some people you could look at and you know they up to no good. But when you look at these babies, when you look at these 3 babies, you could just see the innocence. You could see that these babies wouldn't hurt a fly. So why do he get to use mental illness? I ain't buying it. And to unalive, and to come on now. Come on. Like I said, if it was that hard, why not just say, hey, look, I'm not in the best spirit, so I'm not in the right frame of mind this weekend for the kids to come over. This could have been handled a whole lot better from the dad. No excuses for taking a child's life. I don't even want to continue watching this because I'm not about to let nobody use no excuses. Appreciate you being a member to the Rock Squad family, Mariam Butterfly. Appreciate you for being a member to the Rock Squad family. Appreciate the super sticker, Candy. And you know what? I'm gonna hear what she got to say. I want to hear what the turn. This is
introducing Hardee's home-style breakfast burritos with cheese, fluffy egg, crispy hash browns.
Let's see what's going on with her. Come on, y'all. Watch this.
Greg, Joyce, that attorney was wrapping up a meeting with the mother, Whitney Decker, when we arrived here in Wenatchee this afternoon, along with U.S. Marshals and local law enforcement. Whitney was teary-eyed but composed and says she's not ready to talk, at least not yet. We are getting a fuller picture of Travis Decker, the man whose life appeared to be falling apart with mental illness, homelessness, and the inability to hold down a job. And access to his kids was cut to every other weekend after a custody hearing 9 months ago.
He was an engaged father. He did have some limitations on his parenting time due to his mental illness.
The mother's attorney in the custody case says Travis became homeless a year and a half ago after leaving the Army as a Ranger.
He left voluntarily, so I believe his discharge was honorable. I think as far as the reserves, he just stopped showing up.
The attorney says Travis worked a couple of minimum wage jobs and at one point was talking to the Carpenters Union about possible work, but his skills just didn't transfer.
There were no red flags. He was struggling with isolation. And
records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
She really feels that the system let her children down. It was the inadequacies in the services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
What are y'all thoughts, y'all? If you would like to become a member, I dropped the link. Maybe I didn't hear this, y'all. Maybe I didn't hear this. Let me backtrack this, y'all. Because do we blame the system or do we blame the dad? Or do they all get the blame? Let me backtrack because I don't think I heard what I heard. Because if the attorney, if the mom, and if others want to point the finger at the system without pointing the finger at him, That's backwards. That's ass backwards. And I'm going to say it again. He knew exactly what he was doing. And he could have stopped it. He should have never been alone with the children. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. Facts. We blame them both, but in some cases, you never see red flags until it's too late. And I'll take that. I'll take everything, you all. I'll take it all. But let me backtrack this, y'all.
He was struggling with isolation, and
Records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get.
See, stop right there. Now, he tried to get help. I'm going to come back to y'all. Let me take this comment. He tried to get help, which tells me one thing. Aisha says, blame the system. Facts. Untreated mental illness can lead to disaster. It's enough blame to go around. Now, if he knew he tried to get help, see, it's a thin line between right and wrong. He knew that he needed help for his mental illness, correct? He knew what he was doing by taking his kids' lives. My opinion, he gets the blame. And he gets it all. And that's a loophole. His attorney, you got to watch it now, because his attorney can use that right there as a loophole. And I bet you any dollar money, I bet you any amount of money, his attorney is going to use that as a loophole in his defense. I can see him now. So Your Honor, my client was suffering from mental illness. My client, he tried reaching out several times. It's documented. It's in black and white that my client reached out for help, and all of that may be so. But your client knew that it was wrong to take them babies' lives. There you go, Miss Blonde. They're setting up his defense. Pay close attention now. Pay close attention. Mental illness doesn't have nothing to do with knowing right from wrong. He knew to seek help for the mental illness, right? So he knew, he was conscious, he was knowledgeable. And he mean to tell me he didn't know that he wasn't supposed to take the lives of his children. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. All these cases that I've been covering, all these cases that you all have been covering, who received the short end of the stick in all these cases? Those babies. Those babies. The babies are not being protected. And this is why I said on a previous demonstration, I said, this is something that we all can come together and work on, because this is involving Black children, white children, Asian children, Mexican children, Hispanic, the list goes on and on. This is involving children of all races. Children of all races are not being protected. It's a problem, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem. But they setting up his defense already.
struggling with isolation and
Records show Decker was diagnosed with a serious mental illness. The attorney says that was most likely related to his combat and that Decker tried and tried to get help, but there was too much red tape to get veteran services.
she really feels that the system let her children down. It was the inadequacies in the
I'll say it again. Why not feel like the dad let them down? Why not start right there? The dad let them down. We live in a crazy time now. That's why I keep saying I wish it was the 90s again. They go say he was hearing voices. Exactly. CPS scheduled him for a psychological evaluation, but one the doctors, that's part of his services, along with parenting services. CPS didn't follow up. It's a we problem. Not necessarily so, Shank. You're speaking as a person with better mental health. He doesn't have all mental ability. If it were, I would be asking for my death. I disagree, a voice of reason. I disagree. I have to disagree. Who's to say I got better health? Who's to say my mental is straight? After all, my funky ass is always up here calling everybody funky asses. My funky ass is up here only doing this for super stickers, super chats, memberships, and clout. So who's to say I'm not suffering from mental illness? I lost a daughter at 3 years old. Now, this is on a serious note. Sometimes I like to joke, but let me take it to a serious note. I lost a child at 3 years old. My mental hasn't been right since. In 2001, I was given 6 months to live. I was diagnosed with lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's. 2001, they gave me 6 months to live. The cancer went away 2002, 2003. Then it resurfaced. It resurfaced 2014. Then it went back in remission. I've been in remission since 2015. I suffer from lupus. I have lupus now. So with all of the things that I've been going through, I still know right from wrong. I'm a broke-ass content creator. I mean, I've been out of work. I can't keep a job. I got a lot of excuses that I can use. But regardless of what, I still know right from wrong. And that's what this case boils down to, knowing right from wrong. He knew it was wrong to take his children's lives. You cannot get around that. Nothing, no mental disorder. Because think about the millions of other dads and moms that suffer. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat. If you are a parent and you suffer from mental illness, and I can promise you, they didn't take their kids' lives. That's what I'm saying. And yet I managed to not unalive my child. You get where I'm coming from? You can't take the cowardly way out because times are hard, because things aren't going your way. Yeah, you know, I've been in the army. Yeah, you know, I fought in the war. You know, I get all of that. I get all of that. But it don't have nothing to do with knowing right from wrong. You still know right from wrong. That's common sense that God gave us to know right from wrong. There's a lot of people in the chat that's suffering from mental illness. And that's the plane that I'm landing. That's the plane that I'm landing. I'm not excusing mental illness. I'm not excusing mental disorderlies. No, no. I'm only landing the plane that he knew right from wrong. He knew right from wrong. But that's what his defense is going to zoom in on. What about the mothers out here? What about the mothers out here that didn't get no help? It's a lot of moms that's locked up. They couldn't use mental illness. They couldn't use what they were going through. What's the difference? It's a lot of cases with moms that took the life of their children. They were under a lot of pressure. They couldn't use none of that as an excuse, because at the end of the day, and I'm going to move on, at the end of the day, it's about right and wrong. And when you're wrong, you're wrong. It ain't no justifying it. Salute, caller.
These services for our veterans that killed those children. That's it.
The attorney and the mom are also raising concerns about the state's Amber Alert system. Law enforcement officials say they did not see Decker as an immediate danger to his own children, so no Amber Alert was sent out. The attorney says the mother thinks that was a deadly mistake.
And I get what the mom is saying. I get what the mom is saying. Ms. Blonde says if he didn't know right from wrong, why the hell is he running? Exactly. Exactly. And I get what the mom is saying. But it comes back to the dad. It comes back to the dad. And police, CPS, and other agencies, if you want them to be held accountable, I can accept all of that. But we don't want to take all of the responsibility off of this dad. It's a slap in these kids' faces. Say it again, Gigi. They never use Amber Alerts for our kids. And that's a fact. This right here is a slap in these babies' faces. I mean, I don't know if y'all don't see it, but once again, I see innocence. I see innocence in their faces. And it's a slap in their faces for anybody to use mental illness, because they didn't deserve that. You know, it's one thing if he may have, you know, put some poison in their food. It's one thing if he may have, you know, while they were asleep, you know, smothered them to death. But he brutally took their lives. April says they never ran an Amber Alert for my daughter, Elizabeth, when I tried to do one. Jonty says, I lost my baby in 2015 and my mental be all over the place, but I know not better not to hurt my dang children. So I'm definitely with you on that, Shane.
They did not see him as an immediate physical danger to his children, despite the fact that he had a well-established history of mental health issues. And had they had seen it that way, those children might still be alive. And that's the thing that is so brutal. And the one thing she's really hoping can be changed in this tragedy.
And that's how. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to beat it. I don't know if he's going to be able to beat this. But I can promise y'all, that right there is definitely going, if he get a weaker sentence, if he get a short sentence, it's going to be because of that right there. They're going to put the blame on everybody but him. The mom, right? The mom knew all of this. Huh? Didn't the mom know all of this about him? Why did the mom allow them to go on the visitation? Why didn't the mom step up? Huh? CPS messing up again, so sad and sick of them. Kibby says he a coward to take them out and not himself. He was that crazy to use his mental for defense is even crazy. And that's not even him using it, Kippy. That's the mother of the children whose lives he took from them and the family. He ain't even come forward yet, but that's them making an excuse for him. But if everybody else knew about his mental illnesses, the mom knew too. Why didn't the mom stress that it needs to be supervised visitation rights? So now the mom want to blame other folks when the mom could have shut it down. The mom could have shut them visits down, but she didn't. She didn't. I be trying so hard to switch lanes. I do, y'all. I do. It's weighing me down. These kind of cases is weighing me down. But I do it, to raise awareness. I do it for these babies and just hope that I could reach one. If I could just reach one person that's in a situation where as though they think about doing something to a child, if I could just reach them, for them to say, no, I can't. It's draining. It's draining. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I will leave the chat running. Salute everybody, and I'll see everybody on the next demonstration. I'm not sure what time Ms. Parker is going live, but make sure everybody pull up on Ms. Parker. Salute. I'll leave the chat running. And if you would like to support the channel, there's different ways you can support the channel. My Cash App is $ERICMCINT, or you can purchase a membership, super sticker, or a super chat. Salute everybody. I'll leave the chat running.